Welcome back, class! Quick recap of part 1. The poet is driving to Cochin Airport with her mother. She looks at her mother and sees a pale, ashen face like a corpse. She feels a sharp pain. She tries to distract herself by looking at young trees and merry children outside. But that distraction is about to end, because now she's at the airport. And in the next few lines, Kamala Das is going to write something so painfully beautiful that boards have been asking questions on it for years. Let's break it down. But don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, Dilla teacher. Lines 11-12. But after the airport's security check, standing a few yards away, the car ride is over. They've reached Cochin Airport. The poet has gone through the security check. She's now standing a few yards away from her mother. They're about to say goodbye. Notice the physical distance a few yards away. This small physical gap symbolizes the larger, permanent separation the poet fears, the separation of death. Every goodbye with an aging parent carries the unspoken terror. Is this the last time? Also, after the airport's security check is a very mundane, ordinary detail. But that's the point. The most painful moments of our lives often happen in the most ordinary settings: airports, hospitals, car rides. Kamala Das doesn't need a dramatic stage. An airport goodbye is dramatic enough. CBSE key points. Airport equals place of departure and separation, symbolic. A few yards away. Physical distance mirrors emotional, existential distance. Every airport goodbye with aging parents carries the fear of finality. The mundane setting makes the emotion more relatable and real. Lines 12-14. I looked again at her, wan, pale as a late winter's moon. The poet looks at her mother one last time before boarding. And what does she see? The same thing. Her mother is wan, weak, pale, colorless. And now comes the second great simile of the poem. Pale as a late winter's moon. Class, think about a late winter's moon. What does it look like? It's not bright, it's not full. It's dim, hazy, pale, fading as if it's about to disappear. Winter itself is associated with the end of a cycle, coldness, barrenness, death. A late winter's moon is even further gone. It's the moon at the end of the cold season, almost invisible. Now compare the two similes in this poem. Ashen like that of a corpse, pale as a late winter's moon. Shocking, harsh, blunt, gentle, poetic, beautiful. Focuses on death, focuses on fading away. Inside the car, beginning. At the airport end. The first simile was raw and frightening. The second is softer but equally sad. The mother is like a moon that's losing its light. She was once the full, bright moon of the poet's life, the center of warmth, love, and security. Now she's fading. Also, I looked again at her. The word again is crucial. She had looked away deliberately. She tried to distract herself. But she can't help looking back. The fear pulls her eyes back to her mother. You can escape a thought, but you can't escape love. CBSE key points. Simile. Pale as a late winter's moon. Wan equals pale, weak, colorless, reinforces ashen from earlier. Late winter's moon equals dim, fading, about to disappear like her mother's life. Winter equals end of life cycle, death, coldness, barrenness. Looked again. She tried to look away, but love and fear bring her back. The two similes form a structural frame for the poem corpse at the beginning, moon at the end. Lines 14-15. And felt that old familiar ache, my childhood's fear. This line reveals the deepest layer of the poem. The poet says she felt that old familiar ache, meaning this is not a new feeling. She has felt this fear before. When? In her childhood. Think about it, class. When you were a small child, what was your biggest fear? Not exams, not monsters. Your biggest fear was, what if mommy doesn't come back? What if something happens to her? Every child has this primal, deep-rooted fear of losing their mother. It's the first fear we ever know. Kamala Das is saying, that childhood fear never went away. She grew up, she became a famous poet, she got married, she had children of her own. But that little girl inside her who was terrified of losing her mother, she's still there. And now, at 66, looking at her aging mother, that old fear has come crashing back. The words are so carefully chosen. Old, it's been there for decades. Familiar, she recognizes it instantly, like an old wound reopening. Ache, not sharp pain, but a deep, dull, persistent pain that doesn't go away. My childhood's fear, it belongs to her childhood. It was born in her childhood, and it has survived into adulthood. CBSE key points. Old familiar ache, the fear is not new. It's a lifelong recurring pain. My childhood's fear. The primal fear of losing one's mother, born in childhood. This fear has never left, it was merely dormant and now resurfaces. Shows the child within the adult. No matter how old we get, we remain children before our parents. Ash equals dull, persistent, chronic emotional pain, not sudden. This is the poem's emotional climax, the moment of deepest vulnerability. Lines 15-17. But all I said was, "See you soon, Amma." All I did was smile and smile and smile. And here is the most heartbreaking part of the poem. After all that fear, all that pain, all that realization of mortality, what does the poet do? She smiles. She says, "See you soon, Amma." That's it. She doesn't cry. She doesn't hug her mother and say, "I'm terrified of losing you." She doesn't say, "I love you." She just smiles and says the most ordinary goodbye. See you soon. But class, is she going to see her soon? She doesn't know. That's the terror. See you soon is what we say to convince ourselves that there will be a next time. It's a hope disguised as a casual farewell. Now look at the repetition. Smile and smile and smile. HRE times. Why? Because one smile would be genuine, but 3 smiles? That's forced. Fake, a mask. She is smiling to hide her tears. Each smile is an effort. Each smile is a lie. She's performing happiness for her mother so that her mother doesn't worry. And those 6 dots ellipsis at the end, they are not a full stop. The poem never ends. The thought never ends. The fear never ends. The ache continues beyond the poem, beyond the page, into silence. Those dots represent everything she could not say, everything she swallowed, every tear she did not shed. Also notice all I said was, all I did was. The word all appears twice. It suggests inadequacy. She wanted to say so much, but all she managed was a smile. She wanted to do so much, hold her, protect her from time, but all she could do was smile. The gap between what she felt and what she expressed, that is the tragedy of this poem. CBSE key points. See you soon, Amma, a hopeful farewell masking deep fear and uncertainty. Repetition of smile 3 times indicates the smile is forced, artificial, a mask for pain. She hides her emotions to protect her mother from worry and to protect herself. Ellipsis. The poem has no closure. The fear and pain continue endlessly. All I said, all I did, suggests helplessness and inadequacy of expression. The contrast between inner turmoil and outer composure equals the poem's central tension. Amma, the Tamil Malayalam word for mother, adding personal, cultural intimacy. Poetic devices. CBSE board must know. Simile E. Face ashen like that of a corpse. E. Pale as a late winter's moon. Both compare the mother to lifeless, fading things. Personification, young trees sprinting. Trees are given the human quality of running. Transferred epithet. Merry children. Merriness is actually the quality of the scene. Moment, transferred to children. Also, sprinting actually describes the car's speed, not the trees. Repetition, smile and smile and smile, emphasizes the forced, mask-like nature of the smile. Contrast, juxtaposition old. Dying mother inside the car versus young, sprinting trees and merry children outside. Imagery, vivid visual images. Ashen face, open mouth, pale moon. Sprinting trees, spilling children. Symbolism. Late winter's moon symbolizes the end of life. Young trees and children symbolize youth and vitality. One long sentence. Stream of consciousness. The entire poem is a single sentence with no full stop, representing the continuous, unbroken flow of thought and fear in the poet's mind. Extra insight for toppers. The poem works on 2 journeys simultaneously. The physical journey from parents' home car ride airport departure. This is the literal geographical movement. The emotional journey. From denial, painful realization, attempted escape, return of fear, forced composure. This is the psychological arc. Both journeys end in separation. The car journey ends at the airport, physical departure, and the emotional journey ends in silence and forced smiles. Emotional inability to express love and fear. The tragedy is that the poet is departing twice from a place and from a person, and she is powerless to prevent either. So class, we've now covered this entire poem, every line, every word, every hidden meaning, every poetic device, every board question, both parts. complete. If you've watched part 1 and part 2 with full attention, I can promise you no matter how the question comes in your board exam, you will be able to answer it. All the best!